All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michael, owner of Limitless Automotive right here in Ennis, Texas. Today, I'm going to be going over with you some things that a lot of you have never been taught on vehicle maintenance and vehicle, keeping up with your vehicle. First thing I want to go over is a huge misconception about cars. A lot of you think, oh, my vehicle is running just fine. I don't need to maintain it. I don't need to do anything with it. It's perfect, perfectly fine, runs great. But what you don't know is that, we're going to talk about fluids today. So today, we're going to discuss like 6 different fluids that your vehicle has. And we're going to break down each one of those and why each one of those need to be serviced at whatever manufacturer recommended service intervals, need to be, they need to be done at those times. So the first ones, first let's list them. You have your engine oil, which everyone already knows. Everyone knows, oh, I have engine oil. I have to change it at every 5,000 miles. Some people like to do it 3,000. Some people like to do it at 5, and then some people like to do it at 10 for those that get, that really, really, really good fancy synthetic oil. 5,000 is the general, it's a good manufacturer suggested interval. Now, along with your engine oil, I don't think a lot of people know why they're supposed to change it. They just do it because that's what's been taught, growing up. Oh, I got to change my oil. Oh, I got to change my engine oil. Got to change my engine oil. Well, the reason behind it is because just like all these other fluids that I'm about to mention, oil breaks down. It loses its viscosity. It becomes weaker. It becomes more fluid versus thick, and that allows all these moving parts. Let's just use my hands, for example, that are moving. I'm not sure if you can hear that, but whenever, if it was properly lubricated, it would run very smooth. And over time, if you were not to change that oil, if you were to not change that oil, you would run the risk of these internal parts running like this, metal to metal with no lubrication, which would cause for this to shave down. Once it shaves down, you now have metal inside of your oil, which flows through something called an oil pump. Now that oil pump is prone to failure. There's a lot of, you know, different components in this engine that could fail. You have very, very, very tiny holes in your engine that are passageways for this oil to flow through, and the more junk that builds up in this engine, the easier it is for those holes to clog. Like your, you know, like your oil pump. You have little holes that feed to your timing chain. That chain needs to stay properly lubricated. I have a scenario for you. Speaking of oil, I have a client that he had just bought this car, and he had it for roughly 8 months, and he never did the oil change. He just drove it, and when the oil light popped on, he would open up his oil cap, add oil, check the dipstick, close it, and drive. Over time, this damaged the engine internally. It was overfilled. When we pulled that dipstick and checked the oil, the oil was metallic. It had already had metal shavings all throughout the engine oil, which caused that engine to fail. Because he didn't have the proper records of getting that oil changed, the warranty denied the coverage of that engine. So that's another reason why it's important to go to a reputable shop that reports these services to your Carfax. Like us, we report all services to Carfax. So let's get back into those fluids. So we already discussed oil. The next one is coolant. A lot of people get your coolant mixed up with antifreeze. I'm sorry, your coolant is antifreeze. A lot of people get your coolant mixed up with refrigerant because they think that coolant cools you down, which it doesn't. It cools your engine down, um, along with your engine cooling fan. Uh, your coolant or antifreeze is there to cool your engine down and keep your engine from overheating. It also has chemicals inside of there that keep your engine from corroding internally. Um, so it protects the inside of your engine as well, inside of your cooling system. Now, if you have a leak, you know, you don't want to top it off with water. You want to top it off with what your vehicle takes, you know, and you need to top it off with antifreeze. Um, if you don't top it off with antifreeze and you top it off with water, and we get one good freeze, that water is now going to freeze. And what happens to water that freezes? It expands. So, have you ever put a glass of ice, a glass of water in the freezer and let it sit? What happens? That glass is now broken because that water expanded and it broke that glass. Same thing with your engine. If that water expands inside of your engine, inside of your radiator, inside of the hoses, the weakest link is going to go first, which could be your radiator. It has plastic edges, most likely. That plastic is going to crack. The next weakest thing is probably going to be your coolant hoses. That's probably going to crack. Some vehicles have what's called freeze plugs. Those freeze plugs are going to pop out, and they're there for that specific reason. Some vehicles don't have freeze plugs, which in that case, there goes your engine. You just broke it. It just literally cracked. Um, so that's the importance of filling it with coolant or antifreeze versus water. Um, it also warms you up in the wintertime because the way it flows, and I've discussed this in one of my old videos, the way it flows is it goes from your radiator through your thermostat, through your engine, which absorbs, with that coolant then absorbs the heat of your engine and takes it through your heater core. In your heater core, it has the blower that will blow air through the fins of that heater core, and once the air comes on the opposite side of that heater core, now you have hot air which gets dispersed through your vehicle. That's how you get your heat. After your heater core, it flows back to your radiator, and so on. It's a never-ending cycle. Um, Speaking of that never-ending cycle, that coolant can get old and deteriorated as well. At certain intervals, that coolant will need to be changed out. That's why there's coolant flushes. Um, the next the next fluid would be transmission fluid. Transmission fluid is similar to engine oil. Uh, it goes in your transmission, obviously. It has a filter. This needs to be serviced every so often. Whatever the manufacturer suggests, you need to service it at that interval. The possibilities of that transmission fluid deteriorating because you didn't get that service done, and not the possibilities, what could happen if you don't get this done is you can now get a transmission that's slipping gears. If it slips gears, all those internal parts, like I said before, you're now getting metal on metal friction, which is now sending shavings throughout that transmission. Same thing. You need to get that serviced. One vehicle that is horrible about this is the Chevrolet pickup trucks. Those transmissions, the new ones, I want to say 20, 21, 22, 19, that generation, um, don't quote me. I'll have to look on Mitchell One, but I believe every 30,000 miles that transmission service is due. That means that you need transmission fluid and a transmission filter. That service costs roughly ballpark $300. Some people will say, I'm not spending $300 to change my transmission fluid. You're just trying to take my money. And we're not at all. We're providing a service to keep your transmission alive and well so that you can run that truck for 100, 200, 3,000 miles with zero issues. We've replaced transmissions that were bad on those Chevys as early as 48,000 miles, I believe. 48,000 miles, brand new vehicle, very nice, like very, very nice. It's like a Z71. We replaced that transmission because they ignored those manufacturer suggested maintenance items. The next one, which is very complex, is your brake fluid. In them older vehicles, not so complex. You just top it off with .3, maybe .4 brake fluid, and bleed your brakes, good to go. Today, it's 2025. We're going on 2026. That brake fluid, if it deteriorates, it can allow for moisture and air to be mixed with it if you were to do some sort of service without changing that brake fluid introduced through the reservoir. And the way it deteriorates is heat. And the way it gets hot is, these new vehicles, whenever you have these new vehicles that have that lane assist or the, what's it called? It's like the blue something drive, where you're driving and you can sort of let go of the steering wheel and it kind of veers to the right and it corrects itself and it goes to the middle, and it veers to the left and it corrects itself and it goes to the middle. Well, what happens is that pulsation that you feel in your steering wheel, yeah, that's a warning telling you, hey, pay attention. But what's also happening is your brake calipers are electronically pulsing. They're pulsing one side or the other side to help you. Let's say it's pulsing this side and it's slowing this side down. It's gonna naturally cause you to turn this way. And if you start going off the road this way, the car is gonna it's gonna stop pulsing this side and it's gonna start pulsing this side. And now the car is gonna turn this way because this side's slowing down and this side's not. So that's how that works. And when it pulsates, that brake fluid gets hot and in turn it starts to deteriorate. What also happens whenever it pulsates is that your brake pads can start to wear unevenly. Typically, it corrects itself if the car is driving normal conditions. There's nothing wrong with the car. But let's say you are driving and you hit a pothole real hard, or you're not paying attention and you hit a curb real hard. And now you have suspension components that are damaged and your car is now out of alignment. And you're driving, your alignment is 0.3, 0.5 degrees off to the right. Well, that steering angle sensor in your steering communicates with your computer, and now your brakes are pulsating all the time. You might not feel it, but they're pulsating all the time to correct that steering to make sure it compensates for that steering being off. So now you have brake pads that are constantly being pulsated on that rotor, and it's constantly wearing down that pad. So where, let's say you put brand new brake pads on and you never got this car aligned, your brake pads could wear unevenly, meaning you have a brand new 12 millimeter brake pad, and now one side stays 12 millimeters and the other side goes to 6 millimeters, like that, over the span of a few weeks, because that caliper is pulsating because your alignment is off. That is something that no one tells you, but it's the truth. Power steering fluid. Next thing is power steering fluid. So if you start hearing a whining sound, your steering starts getting kind of tough, chances are your power steering fluid might be low. And a lot of these new vehicles don't have power steering. They have electronic power steering that's built into the rack and pinion. And that's a whole nother ballpark right there. A lot of times these power steerings are not serviceable on these rack and pinions, and you have to replace the whole rack and pinion, which that could be a major repair. When I say major, I mean the part could be very expensive. I know on the Dodge Chargers, Dodge Challengers, Dodge pickup trucks that have electronic power steering, I know those are very expensive. I know at the dealer they're roughly $2,000, $2,400 roughly, ballpark, just for the part. So next thing is differential fluid. A lot of people just drive and they don't know anything about the differential fluid. I have a client, I've had many clients actually, that did not know about their differential going out because of, let's say, that pinion seal, which is the seal that seals the very front of that differential carrier where the drive shaft mounts to. You have that differential pinion seal that can leak. And the reason those seals leak is because there's a vent tube. 9 times out of 10, there's a vent tube. If that vent tube gets clogged, while you're driving, those gears are spinning, those axles are turning, and it creates pressure inside of that differential. That pressure has to escape somewhere, and that's why there's that vent tube. If that vent tube's clogged, pinched, missing, and it's just clogged with dirt, it's not going to be able to, it's not going to allow for that pressure to escape. And over time, those seals are going to be where that pressure gets released from. That's how you tend to get those differential leaks. That pinion seal on this customer's vehicle was leaking and leaking and leaking and leaking over time, and it caused those wheel bearings on the outside to go bad. And I'll see if I can post a video of it right here. But those wheel bearings were like almost toast. Like you could grab that wheel and shake it, like, you know, it's not supposed to have that much wheel end play. So because they did not get that pinion seal fixed in time, they are now looking at getting both wheel bearings replaced, which means we have to open up the differential to allow for those axles to come out, because there's little clips that hold that axle in place. You have to open up the differential to get those clips out so that you can remove the axle. That's the only way to replace those bearings. That repair, fortunately, that repair is not that bad. It's roughly $750, give or take. But that pinion seal replacement, couple $100. So that is differential fluid in a nutshell. You want to get that taken care of every single time the interval says it's time to get it done. Most of the time, a good oil change facility or even our shop will let you know, hey, you have 90,000 miles. Manufacturer suggests that you get this done at 85,000 miles. You're over that. Do you want to go ahead and get this done? You're looking at, I don't know, 249. Just a ballpark number. Don't take that number and run with it. And it's your choice to get it done or not. We don't pressure you into that. Each one of these fluids does the job. I think that's all of them. I think I touched on a coolant, transmission fluid, oil, differential fluid, power steering fluid. Brake fluid. I think that's all of them. I mean, we could throw in washer fluid. I've seen people go without washer fluid and they burn up that washer fluid pump motor, and now they need a new washer fluid pump motor. You know, you could get washer fluid for like $3, pour it in there, run it through the jets, and you'll be good. You know, and then if you don't fill it back up and you get a bug that splatters and you just try to hit that button and it doesn't do anything. For starters, you're probably going to damage those wipers, and two, that washer pump might get clogged with dirt because it's going to build up at the very bottom, and now you don't have that fluid flowing through it. So now that pump is bad. That could be, depending on the vehicle. I've seen those pumps very, very, very tucked in up underneath the fender, up underneath the bumper somewhere. So the labor could be pretty expensive. Maybe not, it just depends on the vehicle. If this video has helped you out any, if you learned something new. I know when I learned about the brake calipers pulsating because the steering angle is off, I thought that was very cool. I learned that a few years ago, but if you learned something new today, this video helped you out any, go ahead and like this video, drop a comment, let us know what you learned, and share it with someone who might need this information as well. If you're in this area and you need someone to check out your vehicle, you want somebody to work on your vehicle, we can definitely help you out. Our address is 205 East Denton Street right here in Ennis, Texas. And our phone number is 469-716-5578. If you want to shoot us a text or give us a call, Gary and or Marvin will be able to help you out. They are our service advisors up in the front. And if no one answers and our AI concierge Miles answers, please bear with Miles. Give Miles all of your information, your phone number, email, vehicle information. Miles, every bit of information helps because we're not intentionally not answering. We are possibly busy with the client. We're in the shop talking with a technician. We might be on the phone with the vendor. So just bear with Miles and give them all your information. And until next time, keep your vehicle running smooth. And as always, stay limitless.